Tami has an amazing tool. It's one of my favorite tools to, help people like that are in that pre-contemplation stage. And this tool works amazing without bursting her bubble at helping people tip the balance between, where they're in pre-contemplation, where they don't feel like they need to change, and moving over to a place where they start to see like these benefits. And I think the other great reason for this tool is also it helps people define their why, something more personal. So maybe if a doctor has said something, maybe if a family member has said something to this person, they don't feel like they really need to, but they have pressures from outside. This tool is something that can help people separate whether they have meaning in this, whether they have a why in this, something that they really want to move forward with, or if it's just external pressure.
Welcome to Integrative Approaches in Healthier Living, a collaboration of Living Life Now and Bush Health Coaching, where we have conversations for living well.
Hello, and welcome back into another episode of Integrative Approaches in Healthier Living. I am Tami Tomlinson here today with Coach Chris Bush, and today we are going to discuss stages of change. And Chris, I know that you're pretty passionate about this, being a health coach. I'm familiar with it as well, but I'm going to let you take us straight to all of the goodness of stages of change.
Absolutely, Tami. So kind of a brief history. We'll just talk about the ones that we're going to be diving into today with stages of change or stages of change theory. We're going to be dealing with, primarily pre-contemplation and contemplation. We'll get into the other ones eventually, which is preparation, action, and maintenance down the road. But the real area, we wanted to dive into SMART goals, but we felt like after our previous episode that before we get into SMART goals, we really, really wanted to talk a bit more about pre-contemplation and contemplation, because in our walk, in my work, in Tami's work, we tend to run into people a lot of the times that are in this place where they're either contemplating making change or they're in pre-contemplation. Now, pre-contemplation is characterized as a stage where people don't really feel like they need to change. And I would actually go a step further. In health coaching, we talk a bit about what we call intrinsic and external motivation. And intrinsic motivation is motivation that comes from within, and external motivation is motivation that comes from other people. And so I generally will myself define pre-contemplation two different ways, in which as in one, the person doesn't feel like they need to change and may not have people outside of them that makes them feel like they need to change. The other person is somebody that truthfully doesn't know that they need to change or may not feel that they need to change, but will enter into a stage of contemplation based on what we call external motivation. And so that person I still characterize as pre-contemplation, because in my experience, external motivation it has its limitations, has a lot of limitations. It doesn't last. So contemplation is where the person is finally tipped over the scale. They see the benefits of making change and they want to start making change, but they haven't yet reached a place which we call preparation. And preparation is where people start to actively make plans towards change. So that's the big difference between contemplation and preparation. Preparation is characterized by people that are contemplating, that have started to actively make plans towards making change or starting to change their life. The big difference between pre-contemplation and contemplation is pre-contemplation is a person that, in my opinion, and we'll just say my opinion, does not have any intrinsic motivation and feels no need intrinsically or internally to change. They have no real reason. And another way to say this, they don't really know or have a why. So whether somebody's made them feel like they need to change, whether that's a doctor or somebody in their family, that's not a really solid why. It's nothing internal, it's nothing personal. So again, it won't last. Tami has an amazing tool. It's one of my favorite tools to, help people like that are in that pre-contemplation stage. And this tool works amazing, without bursting her bubble, at helping people tip the balance between, where they're in pre-contemplation, where they don't feel like they need to change, and moving over to a place where they start to see like these benefits. And I think the other great reason for this tool is also it helps people define their why, something more personal. So maybe if a doctor has said something, maybe if a family member has said something to this person, they don't feel like they really need to, but they have pressures from outside. This tool is something that can help people separate whether they have meaning in this, whether they have a why in this, something that they really want to move forward with, or if it's just external pressure. So Tami, I'm going to turn this one over to you because, without discussing further what said tool is, and let you ramble with that for a little bit.
So you refer to it as a T-bar. I just say pros and cons.
Yep.
So basically you could write, if you think about a T on a piece of paper, and put pros on one side and cons on the other. In one of the columns, you could, at the top of the page, however you want to work it, whatever it is that you're thinking about creating a change for. And not even so much, because I've been thinking about this for a couple of days, it's not even so much health related, right? It could be, we might be feeling a call to change a job, change profession. Maybe we're thinking, should we go back to school to get another degree? Do we need a new car? Do we want to move to a whole new city? So there's many areas in our lives that we could apply this to. And yes, our health could be obviously a very important one if we're wanting to lose weight or need to lose weight. I think another one that really resonates with me, if you've been following our channel, food sensitivities, right? Knowing that I need to make a change, or many people that I have spoken to say, oh, I think that's me, but then they don't do anything with it. So creating this T-bar, this pros, cons list, you can put your high level object, item, thought, whatever it is that's coming to you. And then just that, write down all the reasons why you should, pros, or why you should not, cons, pursue that which it is you've been contemplating, right? I mean, that's just the plain and simple nuts and bolts. And then when you create your list, and it doesn't have to be all in a 5 or 10, 15 minute sit, do a data dump, put all the thoughts in your head, right, when you're thinking about it. And then if you're still not satisfied with how the list is looking and how you're feeling, go inward, maybe meditate, or, do a gut check. What are you feeling when you stop and really think about it? When you're looking at those pros and you're looking at those cons, are they resonating with you? And yeah, and you know what? If anybody's listening to this and you've been in this phase before, let us know in the comments. We'd love to know what it is other folks are working through or pre-contemplating or contemplating, right? And what tools maybe you found that worked best for you. As so many of us are listening to other podcasts or reading books or listening to audiobooks and or their own studies and their own journeys in life. There's so many options available out there. It would be really cool to learn what other people are using that have worked for them.
Right. What's working for them.
Yeah.
Give this exercise a lot of times to people that, like I start working with. But one thing I always like to do, especially if I suspect the person's like really heavy on that pre-contemplation side where they they don't really, I don't get the feeling that they have a lot of like, say, internal motivation to change. And I'm gathering that this person has a lot of outside pressure, maybe from a physician or someone to change. I will first have them do the exercise where it's like, draw yourself a T on one side, like you said, like what could you, what could this, you foresee this benefit, like right now, like, and what are the cons? Once they come back to me on that, usually I'll use that as an opportunity to kind of inform a little bit, give some information. For example, if somebody is, contemplating making eating changes because their cholesterol was high, then kind of filling them in on, like risk factors and say like mortality rates, taking that time as myself as a coach to just kind of educate people a little bit. But it lines people up for like that next exercise to have them do, empathizing with their future self. And what I'll essentially do is say to the person, well, in another 10 years, what's going to matter to your future self in regards to this? 10 years, when whether you took action on this is all said and done, what's going to matter to you then? Are you going to remember the steak that you cut out? Are you going to remember the cheese that you didn't eat so much of? Or are you going to be upset that, well, your health is so poor that you can't get out and play with your grandchildren?
I think that's a
Or
big
you're
one.
not even around
yes,
to be,
Chris. I agree with you on that, getting out and playing with your grandchildren, because as I have aged gracefully, and I speak to people that live with CF that are younger than me, I've been reflecting recently, right? Like where I am today in my own health and my own body, and thinking back to when I was their age.
Right.
Like, what do I wish that I would have been doing, kept doing, may have slipped and stopped doing, so that I am able to live my best, healthiest life as I continue to get older. Because and I used to volunteer for the American Cancer Society for the Look Good, Feel Better program. And I remember all of those beautiful ladies, they would say, "Oh, honey, your skin's going to change when you get older, and this is going to happen, and that's going to happen when you get older." And when we're younger, we think, yeah, right? Like, okay, fine. But oh my goodness gracious, it happens. Maybe some of the listeners are like, "Oh yes, I resonate with that." Like, just let us know in the comments really quick if you resonate with the whole aging process, and yes, you wish you knew something younger that you don't now, or something along those lines.
I don't think any of us have lived, any length of time with not having something that we look back on and we kick ourselves for
Right.
like not taking
Reflect,
action
right?
on earlier. Yeah,
Reflections.
absolutely.
Yes.
Either way, the T-bar is an amazing, what I call the T-bar, what Tami calls the pros and cons. It's an excellent tool for people that are feeling external pressure in the pre-contemplation stage, people that are in the contemplation stage trying to move to, say, like where they're taking action or they're starting to prepare, just to really like mount up, like more wise things that matter to you, and why making that change is going to, say, help you in your endeavors.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Absolutely.
All right.
Know your why.
Exactly.
Why you want to do the things you want to do.
Well, wanted to keep these short and simple for people and to the point. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Tami, you got anything else?
No, thank you as always. And I will link our other videos that kind of play off of this one in the description. So please check those out. And we will be back for more info very soon. Check out the links in the description. We are forever grateful. And thanks, Chris, as always.
See you later, Tami. Bye.
Take care.
See you guys.